Changing yourself sounds exciting until you actually try. At first, it feels magical. You watch one motivational video, read one powerful quote, and suddenly, you believe your entire life is about to transform overnight. That's how it always starts. You tell yourself, tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow, I'll wake up early. Tomorrow, I'll become disciplined. Tomorrow, I'll finally become the person I admire. And for one day, maybe two, you actually do it. You wake up motivated, you exercise, you study harder, you drink more water, you plan your future, and for a moment, you feel unstoppable. But then something strange happens. Your energy disappears, the habits become exhausting, the routine feels heavy, your brain starts resisting everything, and slowly, you fall back into old patterns, again and again and again. That's the part nobody talks about. Changing yourself is hard, not because you're lazy, but because your brain is designed to protect what feels familiar. Even if your current life makes you unhappy, your mind still sees it as safe. Think about it. Your habits are like mental shortcuts. Your brain repeats them because repetition saves energy. So when you suddenly try to become a completely different person overnight, your brain panics. It says, this is uncomfortable. This is unfamiliar. Go back. That's why motivation fades. Motivation is emotional. Transformation is neurological. And most people fail because they rely on emotion instead of systems. They try to climb the entire mountain in one day. Wake up at 5 a.m., work out for 2 hours, read 50 pages, meditate, journal, build a business, fix their life instantly. It sounds inspiring until your nervous system collapses from pressure. Then comes the guilt. You open social media, and everyone else looks successful, disciplined, focused, perfect. Meanwhile, you're lying in bed, wondering why changing yourself feels impossible. But here's the truth. You are not failing because you can't change. You're failing because you're trying to change too much at once. Real transformation is smaller than people think. The people who truly change their lives rarely make giant, dramatic moves. They make tiny decisions, repeated consistently. That's it. One small walk, one healthy meal, one page read, one earlier bedtime, one deep breath instead of one impulsive reaction. Tiny actions seem meaningless. Your brain notices repetition. Repetition creates identity. The moment you repeat a behavior consistently, your brain starts saying, oh, this is who we are now. That's the secret. You don't force yourself into a new life. You slowly teach your brain a new normal. The easier the habit feels, more likely your brain accepts it. That's why the best changes feel almost too small. Make your bed, drink water first thing in the morning, walk for 5 minutes, read one page, write one sentence. Not because those actions magically fix your life, but because they build trust with yourself. Every small promise you keep sends a message. I can rely on myself. Confidence is built from evidence, not motivation, not affirmations, evidence. The reason many people hate themselves is because they constantly break promises to themselves. They say, I'll start tomorrow. And tomorrow comes. Nothing changes. Eventually, brain stops believing them. But when you start keeping tiny promises consistently, something powerful happens. Your identity begins shifting. You stop seeing yourself as lazy. You stop seeing yourself as broken. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. And once identity changes, behavior becomes easier. Because now, you're no longer forcing actions. You're expressing who you are. That's why small habits are life-changing. Not because they're small, but because they're sustainable. The world glorifies extreme transformation. But real growth is usually invisible at first. No dramatic movie soundtrack, no overnight success, just quiet repetition, quiet mornings, quiet walks, quiet discipline, and one day. Without realizing it, you look back at your old self and barely recognize that person anymore. The exhausted version, the distracted version, the version waiting for motivation to save them. Because now, you've built momentum. And momentum changes everything. Once a tiny habit becomes automatic, your brain stops fighting it. Then you add another, and another, and another. That's how people reinvent themselves, not through intensity, through consistency. Imagine climbing a staircase in the dark. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You only need to see the next step. That's how change works. Most people never transform because they obsess over the whole mountain. Successful people focus on the next small action. One step, that's all. And here's something even more important. Changing yourself becomes easier when you stop trying to become perfect. Perfection creates pressure. Pressure creates avoidance. But progress creates momentum. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a repeatable one. You don't need perfect discipline. You need fewer distractions. You don't need to transform your entire life today. You only need to win today. That's it. One small win. And maybe the biggest shift of all is realizing that the future version of you isn't built someday. It's built daily. Every action is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every scroll, every thought, every habit, every decision, you are constantly shaping your future identity. So if changing yourself feels hard, stop trying to become a different person overnight. Instead, become 1% better today, then repeat it tomorrow. Because small actions feel weak in the moment, but years later, they become an entirely different life. And one day, you'll wake up, look around, and realize the person you wanted to become was created by the tiny things you almost ignored.